want to say good evening and welcome to the April 15th, 2020 regular scheduled East Long Meadow Board of Library Trustees meeting. Before we officially begin, I'd like to go over some minor changes because we're doing this by the computer system, social distancing. I thought in order to make it clear for those who are watching and for those who may watch our recording later on, it's going to sound like being in a classroom again, but I thought that it would be best if you want to make a comment or make a motion or what have you. If you like raise your hand first, I can see it and I'll call upon you, because what I have found is that when more than one person starts to speak, the frame that goes around the person who's speaking, sometimes Zoom can't catch up with who's speaking and goes over to a different screen and so forth. So I thought the best thing we could do to try to help the viewers as well as ourselves is, and to avoid talking over one another, is that if you have something to say, just let me know by raising your hand, and I'll certainly be that'll give me the cue you'd like to say something. I'm going to do roll call. I'm going to do it a little bit differently, where I'm going to say your names and you're just going to say here or I'm here. So I think we can do this meeting in a manner that it will be clear for everybody viewing. I'm hoping. So we'll start with doing our we'll start with our attendance. So Cindy McNabb.
Here.
Here.
Cindy
Manheim.
Here.
Michael Gray.
Here.
David Boucher.
Here.
Layla Johnston.
Here.
And Kendra Levesque.
Here.
Thank you all. All right. So it is now 6:03 p.m. and I am officially calling this meeting to order. And this meeting is being recorded for rebroadcast on LCAT as well as live streaming to Facebook. So our next order of business is public comment. So I don't know that there's anybody viewing our meeting at this point in time.
There are no attendees in the Zoom meeting. There are 13 people watching on Facebook, though.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, wow.
Has anybody, let's turn it around a little bit. Anybody want to make any comments about what they may have heard in the community about, what's happening at the library since it's closed, or, any comments? They missed their library. That I heard. No? Okay, then we're going to move on. All right. So the next order of business is the approval of the February 19th meeting. So did everybody have an opportunity to read the?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, great. So is there any discussion? Anybody have any comments, questions, anything? I don't see any hands. So I'm going to say that we're all happy with the minutes, and I'm going to ask somebody to raise their hand and make a motion to accept the minutes of the February 19th meeting.
I make a motion to accept the minutes of the February 19th, 2020 minutes.
Do I have somebody who will make the second? David?
I'll make a second.
Okay. All those in favor of accepting the minutes of the meeting for February 19th, 2020, say aye.
Aye.
Melanie?
Aye.
Okay. Michael?
Aye.
David?
Aye.
And Kendra?
Aye.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. All right. Our next item is the director's report. So I'm going to turn it over to Layla so that she can give us her report.
Thank you. So again, if I cut out, I apologize. It's my internet connection, but the video will pick back up. Due to several issues, the town did decide to discontinue the payroll software that we had discussed way back in January and February. So we are no longer using ADP, and we have switched back to processing payroll with Munis. Early voting in the presidential all town departments by the town's emergency management team. That is Amy Petrosky, the
I've lost video or audio.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, he's having a bad.
are following deep cleaning and sanitizing protocols. Effective March 12th, 2020, the library was closed to the public in order to slow the spread of COVID-19. The health director will assess reopening the building for public services. All staff are working remotely. Building maintenance, the elevator inspection was completed by Bay State Elevator March 3rd and by the state of Massachusetts March 5th. The elevator passed all required inspections, and DPW will be cleaning all library carpets during the building closure. Financial information. I'm sure everyone can guess that the situation has changed rapidly with the shutdown of non-essential business. So the town manager's draft fiscal 21 budget will be submitted to town council for review. All town departments were instructed to reduce their fiscal 21 budget requests. The Massachusetts Board of Library Commissioners has reviewed standards for state aid to public services for fiscal 20 and 21. And I am working with the town manager to ensure that the library budget is not reduced disproportionately to other town departments as required for certification and the state aid to public libraries grant. The MBLC considers a reduction of further than 5% for the library to be considered disproportionate. And I sent a link for everyone to read if they were interested. There's a condensed version pandemic. CW Mars meetings, Massachusetts Library System continuing education and professional development workshops, MBLC sponsored events and meetings are all canceled and being switched to remote meetings. Library building closures and reduced service hours will not impact anyone's state aid to public libraries grant. All items that have had due dates extended through CW Mars Users Council vote. Due dates are now July 1st, 2020, with additional extensions possible. I would encourage everyone who has items that they've checked out to just log into their library account for the updated due dates as we move forward in these uncertain times. Any items that are not returned during the building closure will not accrue fines, so don't worry about those. I did include some suggestions for the borrower's policy, which is a different item on our agenda for tonight.
Wait,
Um,
a question
Sure.
on the fines being extended. Are
Yes.
people putting return materials into the book drop, or has that been locked or something?
The book drop has been locked, yes,
Okay.
for safety and security reasons, and also to encourage people to stay home.
Okay.
Book drop has been locked, and we did extend the due dates, and we will waive any fines.
Okay. Okay.
So regarding that, there were a couple of items of discussion that Diane will probably bring up further down in the meeting agenda. And staff are all working diligently on virtual programs right now. And so in the past 3 weeks, we've really had to innovate rapidly, and we are investigating a new software so that we can provide virtual programs like book talks and book groups, all online in formats similar to Zoom. We're looking at software called Beanstack, and that will allow us to put together a virtual spring reading challenge as well as a virtual summer reading program so that we can make sure that we offer those services to the community. I would encourage everybody to visit the library website frequently. We have a lot of online resources, and staff are available to answer questions. If you digital resources, if anyone if they live in East Longmeadow, if they're an East Longmeadow resident and they don't have a library card, we did come up with a way for patrons to receive a 3-month temporary card, and they can fill everything out online, and someone will get back to them with a 3-month card that will work so that they can access digital resources during the building closure. And that's my report for this month.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions or comments for Layla at this time?
I do.
Okay, Michael.
Okay, I did my homework reading, and I read a little section in here about internet access from Wendell, Massachusetts. It says, from early morning through late evening, the Wendell Library parking lot has a steady stream of 4 to 10 cars with individuals trying to work remotely or participate in school assignments. Unfortunately, the library Wi-Fi bandwidth has not been enough to meet the demand. Last week, our tech guy shifted the bandwidth normally reserved for public computers in the library out to the parking lot Wi-Fi. This has helped, but more is needed. I just wondered, do we have Wi-Fi that extends outside the building?
Yeah, if you sit on the benches that are outside the doors, and if you are in that first row of parking lots, the Wi-Fi does extend that far. We have seen people in their cars, trying to connect their Chromebooks to the Wi-Fi and working remotely through that kind of creative way, yes.
And is that restricted only to library sort of related business, or can they just go on Wi-Fi and do anything?
It is password protected, yeah, but usually if people have connected their device once, it has remembered the password. And in fact, Ryan is in charge of all of the Wi-Fi requirements and whatnot, so he can probably answer your question, Michael.
I guess my question is the library Wi-Fi any different from the Starbucks Wi-Fi across the street?
Well, Starbucks is closed. I mean, the library is closed, but all of our access points and our internet bandwidth is still running at as it was before this whole event happened. So there is Wi-Fi access. Actually, one of the town councilors joined the meeting from the parking lot last night, so it definitely was working.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Yeah, you got it.
Cindy, do you have something?
I did have a question. Layla and maybe Brian, the library had some hot spots that we lended out.
Yep.
You know, correct? Are those already out, or could
Those were all loaned.
They're all-
We did have the due dates for all those have been extended as well. There was one individual who was a town employee. We were able to loan one to him to enable him to work from home. So I was happy about helping him. But yeah, they've all been loaned out.
but they're all being utilized?
Yes.
Okay, that's great, because I wouldn't want to see them just sitting there when.
Right. No, they're definitely all in use.
Great, thanks.
Are there any other questions or comments for Layla or even Ryan? All right then. Layla, thanks so much for keeping us up to date. I certainly appreciate it. I don't know, do we have to make a motion to accept the director's report? Do I hear somebody just,
I'll make a motion to accept the director's report.
Yeah.
For
I'll-
April 15th.
I'll second that
Okay.
motion.
And so Melanie, do you agree or disagree?
I agree.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I think I can speak for everybody and to say that we all accept, of course, the director's report. She does a great job for us, and we certainly do appreciate it.
Yeah, especially during this difficult time.
Yeah. Okay, so what I'm going to do is move on to our item number 5, which is committee reports. Now, we don't have any committees at this particular time, but I am going to throw this out at you, and it has to do with, you're going to need a nomination, or we're going to need a nomination committee to provide a slate of officers. And I was hoping that you would have that slate for the next meeting in May. So is there a person or 2 people that are willing to look into the process of creating a slate of officers for the next year? Don't raise your hands up all at once.
Oh,
Well, how many new members are we going to need?
Well, you probably need one new member.
Okay.
But I will not be chairman. I done my 2 years of chairman and stuff, but it's time to move on.
Right.
So, you're going to need your chair, your vice chair, or your co-chair, and you're going to need a secretary. So it really is among you to discuss, but I thought possibly you could have a committee, which could be 1 or 2 people, who could see whether or not somebody is interested in any of those 3 positions, so that when the meeting comes up in May, you can say, present the slate of officers and nominate and so forth, and person says, yes, I accept the nomination, and so forth, and you can move forward, or we can move forward and vote, and so therefore, everything keeps moving along. So
Well, I've had some preliminary discussions, but I want to check with everybody, just by myself, just,
yeah.
I'd like to, I'd like to be on the committee. And then my intention would be to ask each person if they have any interest in any of the positions. And if we get people that want to do it, we will, that'll be fine. And if we, have 2 people that want something, or nobody wants to be secretary or something like that, then the committee will figure it out. How's that?
to me, that
Okay,
sounds
okay.
good. Is there any other comment? Anybody else have item? Michael, I think that I certainly do appreciate that you know,
Yeah.
stepped up to the plate. David?
Yeah, no, I guess we could discuss that. I don't know if we do it as an executive meeting after this, or do we do it? I mean, that's what we've done before.
Not your officers,
No, okay. I wasn't sure. I mean,
not the officers. The officers have always been during a regular
Okay.
meeting. Mhm.
right.
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
so would this be on the agenda for next meeting to nominate the officers?
Yeah, what, if you remember, it's called reorganization of the board, is what
Right.
it's called.
Okay, reorganization.
So what will happen in May, I will start the meeting, and then once we vote on who's the next chair, then that
Right.
person will take the meeting over at that point in time.
Okay.
All right?
Right.
That's clear?
Yes.
Okay. Michael, you've got an assignment for you, and I do appreciate that you stepped up and are willing to take it. It really
Okay.
is. So I'm gonna move on to the next one, old business, which I'm going to turn to Melanie, because the last time we met, it seems like so long ago, but at the time, we were working on the bylaws. She went through the bylaws, or the amended bylaws, and I just was wondering what has happened since February.
Okay, thank you, Diane. Well, at this point in time, I think everybody's attention has been on hold due to the coronavirus, and everybody's world's been turned upside down a little bit. But I did reach out to Mary, and she got back to me within minutes. So I applaud Mary McNally for dealing with, she's dealing with everything in the town, and her attention to detail, I think, has been spread out pretty evenly. So I thank her very much. And she did tell me that she will keep me posted as far as what's going to go on moving forward. So at this time, I have nothing to say to anyone. And when I do, and when she does let me know what's going on and everything, and she hears something, then I can communicate that information to everybody. So I will keep you posted. Thank you.
I thank you. I thank you. I kind of figured, I kind of assumed, this isn't at the forefront of what's going on in the entire world, but I did want to follow up and see what has been happening.
Yes, and it is important.
As far as new business, it's we're looking at the borrower's policy, or what I'm thinking of, and is that there's looks like we're going to need some language changes in there. We may have to, well, it needs to be looked at as a document, an entire document. But what I wanted to bring to you, and maybe refresh memories, and maybe you can refresh mine as well. But 2 years ago, Layla brought the subject of going fine-free to our attention. And I gotta say, she certainly was trying to guide us in the right, in a good direction, let's put it that way. And at that time, information that I was getting and so forth, it seemed like it was a topic that was still being debated, yes, no, and so forth. What I, was reading and so forth. And I was looking around at what other libraries in the community, what they were doing and so forth. So that was in July of 2018 when we finalized our borrowing policy. And 6 months later, what happened was the American Library Association, they passed a resolution urging libraries to scrutinize their practices of imposing fines on library patrons and actively actively move towards eliminating them. And just like, Layla said, this is a barrier. And one of the items that's in our strategic plan is to continue removing barriers, to our patrons. So what happened was I had hoped to discuss this at the March meeting, but the COVID-19 kind of pushed everything off. So here we are today. So after the resolution from the ALA, 6 months after that took place in January 2019, and then it seems like July 1st of 2019 is when CW Mars decided that we'd do an automatic renewal system. So we're moving in that direction for eliminating fines. So this is all coming together in my little brain, and then in January I received like a blast email from a gentleman named Robert Savini from the MBLC, and it also was about what direction is your library is going to go in 2020, and it was with regards to fines and fine-free libraries. So it's been on my mind. It's been on my mind a lot. So what I wanted to do was I wanted to show you what I found by continuing to look into it and do my own little investigation. But I thought the best thing I came across was this map of the different libraries. And I got a map of the country as a whole, the state as a whole, and a local map. And I think it really will give everybody a really good picture as to the way of libraries moving in the direction that the American Library Association recommends. So if you hold on 1 second, I'm going to try, hopefully I did this right. I'm practicing, but I'm going to try to do a share screen with you and kind of walk you through. So hold on 1 second. Oh, I can't. Ryan, is there a way I can share a screen with them?
Yep. Let me turn it on.
Okay. All set?
All set.
Thank you. We have here. All right.
There it is.
This is a map of the direction that libraries are going in the United States. Those green circles are all fine-free libraries. Those that are in an orange type color, those are partially fine-free. And usually what I found was those were the ones that said individuals 17 years of age and younger, no fines. And then the reddish or maroon color is for those libraries that are in the process of going fine-free. Now I'm gonna, so that of course piques my curiosity as to what's going on in the state of Massachusetts because that's where I live. So hold on. So here I go. Here we go. Okay, so this is Massachusetts, Connecticut, and Rhode Island. And you can see, once again, there's a lot of libraries closer to Boston that are, fine-free and they're partially fine-free. And then lastly, I wanted to zoom into the Springfield area, which is what I had been, looking at a couple of years ago was like, what are our neighbors doing next door? So let me do this. Okay. So what it looks to, what it looks like to me whenever I looked at this, I thought to myself, well, no wonder I was getting the responses or the information I was getting at that time. It looks like those of us in the Lower Pioneer Valley, it doesn't look like any of the libraries in the area have even, decided to go partially fine-free or so
Can
forth.
Diane, can I say something?
Please.
Yeah, so this map has not been updated recently.
Okay.
Springfield and Jones and Amherst are both fine-free now.
Okay.
This map is something that libraries voluntarily contribute to. It's not put together by, for example, Massachusetts Library Association or someone like that.
Yeah.
So it has some really good information, but it's not going to be as thorough as if it was put together by a library organization in the state. So Springfield is fine-free now, so are Jones and quite a few other CW Mars libraries, and this map just has to be updated to reflect that.
Okay, good information.
All right. Well, I thought it gave a really good, I liked the colors that were in it because I thought it was vivid. I had looked at a couple other maps, but I just didn't think they were sharp enough, Layla. But I certainly think that it gives all of us a visual of what is taking place, and I think that we need to look into it. Now, my understanding is that when the times there's the economic challenges, when people are going through a hard time, libraries get used even that much more. So the last thing, there's a bigger demand that takes place and so forth. And I figure once the doors open up again, there's going to be an awful lot of people looking for, more help and more services and so forth. The last thing I certainly feel is that, during this time, this hardship, because it is a hardship for so many people, I really don't want people worrying about, oh, I'm going to owe the library money. I don't want them to be worried about that. They should be able to go through the door and not have to worry about whether there's a fine or not a fine. And then the other thing I was thinking about too was, this is strictly for the, fines, daily fines. Oh, it came in late. I'm not talking about lost materials. I'm just talking about the daily fines because they didn't arrive on time. And I did not know, and I think, Layla, this is certainly more your territory, more than mine, is that, if people owe money because of lost materials, and once that opens up, the doors will already open up, whether or not they get a little more time or some kind of whatever you need to do to help them get through these hard times. That's certainly your ballgame, but it just was a thought that came through to me as far as, what do we want to do there, or whatever.
I did include in everybody's report, in my director's report, the actual breakdown from year to year.
Yeah.
If you take a look at, the revenue has decreased substantially.
Yeah.
So, it wouldn't be millions of dollars we're
Right.
talking about here.
Yeah, right.
Cindy, did you have something?
Well, I did. I with the increased use of Libby and Overdrive,
Yes.
there's no fines there anyway because it's automatically returned. So
Right.
you don't do any fines. And I know in the non-virtual world of the real library experience, if you have an overdue material you're fined, people think the fines keep going on and on and on. And so they just never bring the book back because they think they're going to owe $1,000 or something. And they don't realize that there's a maximum where it maxes out. So I think you'll find you'll get more materials back rather than less.
Yeah.
If we did go fine free. And fine free does not mean that you're not required to bring the materials back, because at a certain point they become a lost item and they need to be paid for, or your card will be blocked at a certain dollar amount. So, we're already having a lot of library usage that is fine free through the Overdrive and Libby apps. So I don't think it's that much of a jump to just do fine free. Plus, it was my experience in the children's department. If children fines or didn't bring their books back, I would see these parents go ballistic on them. And, you have to bring your books back. And I felt so terrible for those kids because they can't drive to the library, So I would want to encourage kids to be able to use the library and not have it be cut off for them. So I think we need to think of it as not that we're not a punitive agency. We're not here to instill all the moral values of the world. We're here to try to keep the library so as many people as possible can utilize its services. And if you do fines are punitive. So if you're doing that, then you're discouraging people from using the library, and I'd rather encourage them to use it. So that's just my feeling on it. Thank you.
David, did you have something?
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I mean, I think the fines, like I had said in a previous meetings, would be a good idea to get rid of, not to have. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now, let me just ask, not that,
I do agree that promoting the removal of barriers to the library, and I think it's a good idea to get rid of the fines. I think last year, the year before that, I was a little more towards the opposite side of the spectrum on that. But seeing that it is something that would bring more people into the library and return the goods, the materials, I think I'm all for it. I am.
Anybody else have a comment to add?
I also agree. The fine should go. There was good rationale why, and some that I hadn't considered. If we all think that's a good idea, we should talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Sandra?
I also agree with the no fines. I just have a question. What about the opposite side of it? So how does that affect the library with no fines? Would that affect the library in any type of negative way?
No, actually, the other institutions in our area that have gone fine free have seen an increase in materials being returned. And that would be our highest priority, getting the materials back so that we can lend them out. Library use during a recession, as those of you that were around in 2008, 2009 will remember, will skyrocket. And so the more materials that we can get back and the more of our East Longmeadow patrons that we can be helping with those materials, that would be a very positive impact. It is very minimal amount of revenue, which is in my report. I think it was around $3,000.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it was a smaller.
I'd rather have back the books and make sure that people can access things like our databases. It just, I really can't think of any negatives. Unless somebody else can, it's just, at one time it made a lot of sense to have fines in place, and times have changed. And, Cindy, I think, made a good point that we don't have overdue fees on all of our digital books and audiobooks. So to get our physical materials in line with that would also make a lot of sense. to keep everything on the same kind of service model.
Thank you.
And this is just something that came to my head. And that is, once our library opens back up, and all this material comes flooding back in, I think our staff is going to need the proper amount of time and to be focused on, getting the materials in, documenting, getting them back up on the shelf. I really think our staff's going to be almost like out straight for a while. And that might be just my imagination, but that's the picture I have in my mind, because this is just so huge as far as having our library closed for so long. So I don't know if you think along the same lines, Layla, as far as, how our staff's going to be impacted once they get back to the old routine. But I just don't want them, I want to see them go saying, welcome, we're so happy to see you, not, you're all 15 cents or what have you, because this book, and so forth. So that brings me up to another subject, and it still has to do with money. And that is the fines that have already been on somebody's record. Should those fines be like a limit way too, or same thing, same thing going through my head about people who are having, a tough time and have, the unemployment and lost jobs, and who's to say it's going to be there when things slowly start picking up again. So that was a thought that also came across my mind about what do you want to do? What do you recommend? I'm turning to the pro. What do you recommend as far as?
Well, it would be difficult to determine a retroactive policy. I don't think that would be something that we would want to apply, especially because we do, purge records, and if somebody loses a book, we would still.
Didn't hear any of that.
I'm sorry, Layla, you cut out on us.
Yeah, it looks like it's our internet again.
Oh, did you lose me?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, just that other libraries that have instituted the policy didn't do a retroactive.
Okay.
They just made it effective from a date and then going forward.
All right, that's fine, but it just was something that creeped into my mind, so forth. Maybe we should do a non-perishable drive, share, exchange a can and your fine is waived, and so forth. So I leave that up to you and your staff to make that kind of decision, that's for sure. But I don't know. Oh, she's moving.
I'll try to go closer to the router and see if that helps.
Oh, okay.
Can I just say,
It's just kind of this time of day, so.
Yeah.
can I just say that over the years that I've been in the library, the clerks on the front desk would encounter having to tell people, you owe this much money in fines and blah, 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 and get flack. And then they would call their supervisor, and their supervisor would then waive the fines to keep good relations with people. But then the clerks on the front lines would feel totally unempowered, and because they're following the rules, and then the rules are being overridden. And that would eliminate all of that as well. If you have a fine and there might be good circumstances to waive those fines, hardships or whatever.
Right.
But when you're telling some of your employees to follow the rules, and then those rules from somebody else gets turned around, then the guy on the front line feels like they're the mean guy. So there's that as well. And I think when people come in that have overdue fines, like you said, Layla, you start it from a certain date and go forward. But if someone comes in with a lot of fines after that date, I'm sure some of those fines are going to be waived. That's probably what would happen, because it happens even when we had fines. So that's just a thought and a comment. But
Well, the reason why I bring this up is I'd love to have something in place so that it's in place by the time the doors do open up
right.
to the public, and that there's, it's all set and the policy's all set, and I don't know, is that something that everybody wants to take like a month and take a look and think about it, or is it something that you feel comfortable enough to do tonight as to saying East Long Meadow Public Library is now fine free from this point on?
Well, I would be comfortable with that.
I would be comfortable with that too.
I would too.
However, the borrower's policy has to be rewritten.
That is correct.
Absolutely. But we could rewrite it already knowing that it's going to include fine free once we write it. So is there any objection to going forward with fine free from anybody? So why can't we
agree with going fine free?
Yeah, okay. Then going forward, we can just put that into our new revised borrower's policy and come up with a start date. Is that correct, Layla? Is that what you would think?
Yeah, you could, whenever we get the wording down and do the revisions of the borrower's policy, it could just be effective from that meeting date going forward.
I like that.
Yeah.
I don't want to, I like to be an optimist, not a pessimist, but I fear that we'll be doing another virtual meeting come next May. Perhaps at that time, maybe the policy, the rewording of the policy, or we'll have in place, and perhaps we can vote on the policy and everything at that point in time. I don't know.
So I won't be able to go into I have other updates that need to be included. For example, we don't circulate the starlings anymore.
Yeah.
And we need to include that clarification on the holds pickup. And I had some of that already written. I just won't be able to send it out to everybody until next week.
Oh,
so I can just forward that to everybody next week.
Sure. We'll still be here.
You can take a look at it and go from there.
we're not going too far. I don't think I'm certainly
staying at home, right?
We're all hunkering down.
Yeah.
I wished that I had a better understanding and vision 2 years ago, so that we wouldn't be dealing with it tonight. And I just feel a light went on in my brain that wasn't there a couple of years back. I just, I don't know if it was because ALA, kind of pushed me that way, and then the MBLC, and that pushed me that way, and the CW Mars, and it was like, this is the way to go. There's no question in my mind. So for that much, I have to say, I feel bad, but I'm glad that we're looking at it again, and we're going to move forward in the right direction. So I feel good about that.
So I'd like to propose that we vote on establishing a committee to rewrite the document, the policy for borrowers, and that we put something on the table at the next meeting.
I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Leila, I think that's what Leila was saying, was that she has been going through the borrower's policy because she knows for a fact, like she said, like the Starling, is no longer, circulated. Certain things are no longer where I think she would be better to revamp it on our behalf, and
then we can go over it.
then
Yeah.
we can go over it as a whole.
Is Layla willing to do that then, to rewrite the borrower's policy?
Yeah.
Cool, then it's possible we'll be open by May, whatever it is, but if we're not, do we want to have the policy start before or after we have the document? Because, you could just...
Well, you would need it to be voted on. Everyone would need to read it first and vote on it at the next meeting.
Okay.
So there would really,
And if you had any additions or any revisions at all, we could comment on that, and then and see if they want it to be included or not included, whatever. Is that possible?
Great.
Yep.
Yeah, that's good. That's progress. Very good.
Okay. Is everybody comfortable with that?
Yes.
I really feel really good about that. I think I just do. So moving on to the budget, and that I believe Layla's gonna give us information about the budget.
Yeah, the main, again, there's just a lot of uncertainty right now, and but the main thing that I wanted to kind of put forward to all of you as trustees, several other boards and commissions in East Long Meadow have waived their stipends that they receive for participating. And I'm not going to ask anyone right now to say anything during the meeting or anything like that, but it's just something to think about. The Library Board of Trustees did not receive stipends in the past. That was something that was relatively new. And so when I'm working with the town manager going forward, we're going to just be evaluating every line item that we can, and trying to ensure that we can be as fiscally responsible as possible. We have no idea what state revenues are going to look like right now. No one is purchasing lottery tickets, for example. Excise taxes are down. Various revenues that the town relies on are drastically reduced, and we're not sure how long that's going to last. So what I'll do is I'll just send the trustees tomorrow an email just asking you, if you would be willing to waive your stipend, and you can take some time and think about it, and then just get back to me in writing. It would be something that would probably greatly help the library and help me retain as many staff members as possible and retain as many resources as possible for our patrons. So it's just something to think about, and it's something that other boards and commissions are also voluntarily waiving during these very uncertain and difficult fiscal times. And I'll keep everybody, Cindy.
When you say in writing, could it be an email writing, or does it need to be a letter?
Yeah, it would just be to respond to the email that I'll send. I'll send everybody an email, and then you can just respond to me. And if you want to keep your stipend, that's okay too. There's no pressure. It's just something that I thought I would bring to your attention that other boards and commissions are doing, and it's something that you may want to consider.
Yeah, I know that the large bulk of the library's budget is for staff.
Yes.
And there's not a lot of wiggle room around that. So to get 5 to 10% cut is cutting quite a lot of staff, I would think. And that would be, especially, I'm sure, with difficult times coming up for people not working. They're going to want to come in and do job searches, and they're going to need the library more than ever. And so to retain as much staff as possible, I think it is a good goal, what we should try to do. But
Are our stipends from the town or from the library?
It's from the library's budget. Yeah, it is funded by our appropriation through the library budget.
Okay.
we didn't know that.
If, I just want to interject here that in our strategic plan, we were hoping to obtain a person just half time. So anything we can do to keep the staff that we have would be most beneficial, absolutely, so I think we have a great staff, and whatever way I, can help them out, that's what I want to do, so.
Yeah. Well, we'll look forward to your email, Leila.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm sure you'll be eagerly anticipating.
We will.
8 o'clock in the morning. Oh, if there's no other discussion, the next item is the Friends of the Library. Honestly, it's quiet out there. I have not heard much of anything. They too do not have a meeting, and usually their last meeting, they have June, and then they usually take 2 months off and start up again in the fall. So I have nothing to tell you except everything's on pause, almost like everything else. So there's nothing to tell you there. And is there any other business at this time? Anybody have anything else they would like to add to tonight's meeting?
Yeah, I would just like to encourage everyone to really ask your friends to follow the library on Facebook and check our website, because we are working very hard on putting out as much helpful digital and online resources as we can right now. If you have a question, please email to elpubliclibrary@gmail.com and somebody will get back to you. And the staff are really anxious to get back to the building and get back to work. We're also on Instagram, and we're going to be promoting some virtual book clubs for people of all ages coming up very soon. And at our next meeting, I'll have more plans that I can report to you. Staff are working on those right now. So just keep in touch with us online as much as you can. Encourage your friends and family to do that as well.
Leila, you can tell how many people have gone to see you on Facebook or Instagram or however virtually they connect with you.
Yeah, if people like a post, we can determine that. We can also see how many people see our posts and things like that through their Facebook feeds. We do get statistics on that, but sometimes people just scroll through and
don't do anything.
We may not be able to measure that, but does that help, Cindy?
Yes. And I was just going to say that all this virtual programming is being done from individuals' homes.
Yes.
So, wow, that's quite a feat. Good job.
Definitely. And I did take a peek the other day, and I thought that the information that out there on the website and on Facebook, I took a peek on Facebook. If you haven't taken a look, trustees, by all means do so and see what Leila and her staff have done to keep our community informed as to what there is out there, that they can still help you even from afar. So yeah. I encourage that.
I just had a problem getting on Libby. There was a problem apparently with Libby. So what I had to do is go to Overdrive,
Mm-hmm.
and then I could get on in Overdrive and then still see it in Libby. But when you go onto Libby, it just said you need to contact your librarian or your library.
If you email elpubliclibrary@gmail.com,
That's how you would do it.
Karen or Maura can help you with that. Yeah, we
Yep.
can, it might take us 24 hours, but somebody will definitely get back to you and help you. And we have had several of those kind of questions.
Yeah, because I had a problem before while you were still in reality. And and Maura said, yeah, she'd been getting quite a few calls about that, and she was able to go through Overdrive. So then I thought it was fixed, so I went in again, and I had the same problem.
Well,
and
sometimes with
no
Libby,
longer there, she was virtual, and
yeah,
so I said, let me try that.
with Libby, if you, with Libby, that particular app, sometimes if you just uninstall and reinstall it, it fixes the problem.
I don't know about that. Okay, that's a little Ryanish.
Email us. They'll help you.
Oh, okay. Thanks, Layla.
You're welcome.
All right, if there is nothing else, then I will just announce that our date of our next virtual meeting is Wednesday, May 20th at 6 p.m. And I would need somebody to make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
I'll make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
All right.
And I'll second that motion.
Melanie seconds the.
Nope, Kendra did.
Oh, well, I'm Kendra.
I
I'm so
did.
sorry.
Kendra, down the.
Forgive me. So Kendra made the second.
Melanie's writing the minutes.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, Melanie. So I will say, I guess, David, are you in favor of adjourning the meeting?
Yep. Yes, I am.
Michael?
Yes, I am.
And Melanie?
Yes, I am.
And I am too. So meeting is adjourned. Thank you all. It was a great meeting. Great meeting. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
Ryan.
Got it.
Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you.
Take care.
You too.